All right, so I want to introduce Sarah today to everyone that she is a mother of 5 children and a substitute teacher. And how many years have you been married, Sarah?
20. We just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary.
Hey, all right. All right, so I want to introduce Sarah today to everyone that she is a, let's see. Okay. So, all right, I'm sorry, I had to turn
That's
off
okay. That's okay.
my YouTube because it was reverberating. But you shared with me today on a coaching call that I'm going to let you tell your story, but how you have suffered with postpartum and anxiety for 15 years, and the difference that coaching is making for you. And so we just decided to go live to kind of give people an inside view of what coaching is like, the power of coaching, the transformation that can happen. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about like what was happening as you got the call saying, can you sub for the next couple of months? And then saying yes, and the anxiety that hit and how you handled it.
Okay. So I have been subbing at my daughter's elementary school for about the past year, and it was going really well. I was enjoying it, but it was taking on a new kind of a job because I had been home with my kids for the past 10 years and had homeschooled them and was a teacher in my prior life. And I just knew that it was time to get back into the schools. And a couple months ago, my daughter's fourth grade teacher asked me if I would be her permanent sub for her maternity leave. She's going to have a baby next week. And so she asked if I would be the sub. And I talked to my husband about it. I had coaching with Carol, and I just knew like this was the next step, and I was ready to take it on. And as it was getting closer to the date that I was going to start, I started having terrible anxiety. So on Monday night, I had that familiar like gut punch feeling like I was being chased by a bear, feeling just terrified, super, super scared, and feeling like maybe I didn't hear God right. Maybe I wasn't listening right. Maybe I wasn't supposed to go back to teaching. Maybe I was being a mom of 5 daughters is a full-time job. So maybe that was where I was supposed to be. Maybe I was just supposed to stay home for right now. And got really, really scared. And I recognized those feelings of anxiety because they're very familiar. As you said, Carol, I have struggled with anxiety for the past 15 years. So I'm super familiar with what those feelings, what it feels like. And I've been to so many doctors and so many therapists and different protocols. And I've tried different diets and different exercise programs to try to alleviate it. And the best I could do was just to calm myself down. But I decided that I was going to use all that I've learned in coaching, and I did what I knew I needed to do. I needed to take a pause and figure this out. So on Tuesday morning, I took my journal and my Bible and went to the gym. And I did, because I've been coached to do self-care. I knew that that's what I needed to do. So I went to the gym, took my workout class, and I went out, sat by the pool, and had a big sandwich so I would like fuel my body. I read my Bible. I took a break, I took a pause, and I grabbed the journal that you had given me, and I went through the whole process. And the feelings of anxiety were so strong. I just kept feeling I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't figure it out. Like I just felt anxious. I just couldn't figure it out. And I went through the questions, and finally, after this took hours, like this was not a quick process. I finally realized, like, oh, there's a thought. And the thought is that I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail as a teacher. I'm going to fail as a mom. I'm going to fail as a wife. I'm going to fail as a friend. I'm going to fail as a neighbor. I'm going to fail. And that was it. And I didn't really have the skills prior to coaching to be able to question that thought, to be able to say, like, that's not even true. Like, that's not good. That's not from God. That's not like, I just didn't have any way to capture that thought and then to look at it and like kind of objectively see it and say, like, do I want to believe this thought? So then again, I went through the whole process. Like I broke it down, asked all the questions, found, how it was making me feel. figured out that's why I was having this terrible anxiety, that it wasn't because of the teaching. It wasn't because I was going to take on this new job as a substitute teacher, my first permanent job in 15 years. It was because of the thought about it that I was having. So then I went back through it again and I realized that I can make a new thought. I can think a new thought. And so my new thought is, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to trust in God to fill in the gaps and fill in wherever it is. And I'm just going to do my best. And then it's like it just, everything just left, like that nasty feeling of like I'm sick to my stomach, that feeling of being chased by a bear, that feeling of my heart racing, mind racing. It's like, oh my gosh. And when I tell you, like, this is something, this level, this low level, sometimes it's higher, but most of the time it's just this low level of anxiety that I've experienced for a decade and a half, has always been there, but I didn't know. I was like this missing piece. I didn't know how to capture my thoughts and to look at them and to decide if I wanted to believe them or not, and to how to replace it, how to poke holes in it, how to see if it was a good thought. I didn't have that skill. So I know,
Wow.
it's super exciting, right?
Wow, Sarah, I'm so proud of you, right? You can just, I can see how empowered you are, rather than feeling like a victim and going into this new job, stressed out, a mess, which has been the pattern in the past. It's like, no, 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 no. I actually can manage myself in a different way. I can regulate my emotions in a completely different way, in an empowered way. And so, oh my gosh, I am just so proud of you and the work that you've done and the transformation that you've had. Coaching for how long have we been coaching?
It's just been a year. I just
Been a
looked at,
year.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
found our first coaching call was in August of 2023. Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
And see,
And
so
I've,
it's
I've
so,
been trying to use these skills and do this for quite some time, but coaching and then what you've been able to teach me with taking my thoughts captive, going through just the mindset
yeah,
training, all of that.
it
Yeah,
takes
I do.
time.
Yeah.
It takes time. It's
Yeah.
not an overnight fix. Like
No.
women that have been around for a little while, right? Hey, like you've got experiences, you've got habits, you've got ways of being that are persistent and pervasive. And it's sort of like now to start making those changes, that's the work that we're doing. And
Yeah.
I really acknowledge the
Yeah.
courage and the strength.
Yes, because really, like, self-care was never, a lot of ladies get hung up on self-care. They feel like it's selfish, or they feel like it's that. That was never my issue. I was like, oh, I would call myself, like, tongue in cheek, kind of high maintenance, because I've always done these things. I've always required a lot of sleep. I've always required a certain, like, I have to eat a certain way to keep my energy up. I have to take certain vitamins so that way I need to exercise. I need time with friends. I have to read. I have to pray. I have to read my Bible. I mean, I just have to. So it wasn't ever a level of self-care, like, oh, I miss, I had to learn this new skill. It was more of taking the time to let the Holy Spirit talk to me, taking that holy pause and really um, letting God tell me what he wanted to tell me. So, and that was through challenging my thoughts,
And
capturing them.
it was through an empowered choice that you made to say, at night you were feeling it. And it's like, no, Tuesday morning, I'm hitting the pause button. I am that holy pause. And that you totally went deep dive and you opened yourself up to the Spirit, and the Holy Spirit totally moved you in a big, big way. And so, wow, Sarah.
Yes. And can I share how my husband was encouraged by it too?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
how when I came home and I told him about it and told him how it kind of took a long time. It's definitely more than just a pause. It was a morning. It took a long time. And I said, but gosh, I guess this is what I needed. And he said, of course you did. He's a big runner. He runs for his clarity to be able to process things. And he said that, asking you to, Sarah, if I were to ask you to not do something like this, to not take that pause, that would be like you asking me to not run. And it's just not possible. Like, it's just what we need to do in order to process through everything that's coming at us. So I love that encouragement. And he was yeah, he was like, yeah, totally makes sense to me. Carry on. When do you need your next, next break to
Yeah, but he's
figure things
totally
out?
supportive because he wants a happy wife. He absolutely wants a happy wife. And will you share with what he's doing now as far as you going back to work?
Yeah.
What's
Oh
happening?
my gosh. Yeah. So then he was like, oh, well, all right, everybody, rallies the troops, all 5 girls. Mom's going back to work on Tuesday. So that means we got to go to the grocery store on Monday and make sure we have groceries because we're going to be cooking. Mom's not going to be able to make all our meals and do everything for us. And just like, he's like a cheerleader. He's excited. He's like, this is going to be so good. Like he never has those thoughts about me failing, or he's like, oh, you're going to do great. And like you're gonna do great is different from I'm gonna do my best. So for me, that was the thought that because I couldn't just pound away, I'm gonna do great, I'm gonna do great. No, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do
You
my best.
are, and God's going to fill in. And the thing
Yes.
that we shared was how, like, if you never try and you hold yourself back, right, then the fear has won, and then you've already failed.
Right.
And so
Right.
instead, you're a role model now. You're totally out of victim mode, so that you're a role model with these kiddos, teaching them that it's okay to be scared, maybe
Yeah.
going back to school or whatever's going on, that it's okay. Like, it's part of life. And then if you're
Right.
going to live life big, there's going to be fear, but man, we can choose our faith. We can unite with God, and we're going to do our best no matter what. And even if we fall, like, we're never, like, we're still ahead of the game, right? Like, we're
Yeah,
still
well,
awesome.
and because a lot of times when I would get, and I'm saying years and years where I would get that level of anxiety, I would think, oh, God's trying to tell me this is not the right thing. God, maybe I didn't hear God right. Maybe I didn't listen well. Okay. And then I would come to God and say, whatever you want, Lord, whatever you want. But like I was leaning too much into the fear
Yeah, it's the fear.
instead of feeling like, oh, okay, Lord, you've already confirmed
Yeah.
that you want me to go and,
Yeah.
do this next step. And so I'm going to do my best and trust you.
Awesome. That is a Holy Spirit win here. And I would imagine, right? So think about, had you gone into this new job coming from the anxiety, what that would have created versus what you're going to create now.
Right.
Amazing.
Totally different. Totally different.
Totally
And just
different.
knowing like, all those sweet little, 24 fourth graders they're going to go through a big transition. Their teacher's leaving. She's been with them for the past 9 weeks. Now she's leaving to go have a baby. And I also think of like how pro-life this is to be able to support this mama as she's going to have her first baby. And I'm going to take charge of the rest of her little fourth grade babies and do my best with them. And she's trusting me. And yeah, I don't need any of that like garbagey, bad kind of thoughts. That's just gonna
No.
it's gonna muddle everything up rather than coming in and being like, here we go, kiddos.
Yeah. Oh my
We're gonna
gosh.
do this.
Yeah. I'm so excited for what you're going to create here with the kids and with your family and with Mike behind you, and just all that's going to happen here, because you're coming from your faith right now. And the Holy Spirit is just going to keep blessing you with all the abundance here that you need to make a huge difference. And thank you for coming on here and sharing and
You
inspiring
oh, it's so fun to be able to
me.
share it. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was super fun. I can feel it's like I got to experience it all over again. So
Yeah, well, you were so contagious in our call. So spontaneous here and jumping on YouTube and making a difference. So
yes,
um,
love
so
it.
is there anything that, like, if you could give another, like, say there's a mom at home who is gripped with anxiety,
Mm.
what message would you give her?
Whew, that kind of tingles. That sucks, and I'm sorry, and I hate it, and I mean, I had a therapist once say, if I had a magic wand and I could just wave it and make it go away, I would. But I think that, well, I know that God uses those really big crosses for his glory, and he's able to bring really, really good stuff out of it. And hang on, because something good is coming. Your breakthrough is coming. And if you can figure out what the thought is, which is it takes a lot of patience to sit and ask the Holy Spirit to really get underneath the yucky feeling to like get to the thought. But if you can, it's it's just a massive, massive switch. It really is. And I don't know, call Coach Carol so she can, I know, got a plug for you, but yeah, it's not easy,
No, to
but
learn it on your own is,
no, it's very, it's It's possible, though, to challenge those thoughts
Yeah.
and to realize that you don't have to believe every single thought that comes into your mind. We all get thoughts that are just ridiculous. And
Right.
to know you don't have to believe it.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
believe what God says.
Awesome. Awesome, honey. I just love you. And so if anybody does need some support in all of this, please join the Happy Wife community on Facebook. Reach out. You can go to my website, createmyhappymarriage.com, click the little button to schedule a free call. Happy to talk to people and to explore how you really can be your best self and that you can break through of these things that are just gripping you. So awesome, girl. Well, thank you so much.
All righty.
All right. So I'm going to turn this off and
Okay.
I think we're going to lose our call. I'm going to message